Welcome back, everybody, to another Total War Warhammer 2 replay. I'll be playing as the Tomb Kings in this game versus the mighty Dark Elves. Now, as my leader, I will have the great, the mighty, the Archon the Black, taking the frontline best caster in my playstyle for the Tomb Kings, and we're going to have a mash of ranged combat, especially with what build my opponent is going to be bringing. Now, looking at my front line, I spent some serious money. It's going to be Tomb Guards, so many Tomb Guards, 4 to be exact, and a back line of archers, including the good old Blessed Legion of Pak, which has armor sundering, very useful stats, especially when you're fighting something like Harganeth Executioners or the Blackguard of Nagaron. Now, if you do see my money well spent here, it's in the Hyro Titan. Now, this unit is a monster with 12,000 hit points. It will take a beating, and it has spells and increases the winds of magic generation for good old Archon the Black. So really useful. I think the Hyro Titan, if you are going to use it, Archon the Black should be the leader for you. Now I'm going to have some backline of cheap skeleton warriors along with the King Nikesh's Scorpion Legion, because King Nikesh's Scorpion Legion is probably one of the few units I bring in almost every matchup, like with the exception of maybe Beastmen or some sort of like chaos matchup. King Nikesh's Scorpion Legion is so fantastic at holding up units, even if they are infantry units. Not necessarily has to be a monstrous or cavalry unit. Now I'm going to have a unit of Sepulchral Stalkers. These units have been changed and they have stalk now, so they don't get shot in the approach. Really great. I actually really like the unit since the change. Before the change, I would say the Stalkers are, I would say, below average. I think that's a pretty kind term to them. More some Skeleton Warriors and a Tomb Scorpion, because the Tomb Scorpion is just one of the most cost-efficient units in this game in terms of construct money. Now, my opponent is going to have an interesting build, to say the least. He's going to have some Dread Spears on the far reaches and one straight in the middle with a unit of Black Ark Corsairs. So, Black Ark Corsairs, this front line in general is not going to deal well with the Tomb Guard. Tomb Guard have really good melee defense. They're going to hold well, and they have silver shields just in case they have dark shards. Now, my opponent is going to bring good old Malice Darkblade. Malice Darkblade leading the charge with his bipolarism and his ability to have 2 health bars, like I have said in previous replays. Now, if he does make it into the last stretch of the game and he pops into Zarkin, that can be a real game changer. So I need to be careful of the grouping of my units, because the AoE lifesteal that good old Malice has is very dangerous. He's going to bring a Master here, which is going to bring some anti-large. I think it's a very great choice here. It's kind of like bringing a Tomb Prince into this matchup. Tomb Princes, Masters, very good actually. So good on my opponent for bringing that, but you guys already see it. It's the mighty Bolt Throwers. So these are the Reaper Bolt Throwers. Like, just all 4 of them. Now, these guys are aiming the wrong way. I'm not exactly sure why. But all 4 Reaper Bolt Throwers, I think my opponent was trying to expect a Ushabti bowline, because I would say this is about the only thing I would expect to counter. Fighting Ushabti at range takes a lot of ranged firepower, like cannons, or maybe something like even Queen Bess or something like that. But Reaper Bolt Throwers, at least they have the range, and they have a very good target priority when it comes to single targets. Now, he's going to try to defend them with the good old Blades of the Blood Queen Guard with the Harganeth Executioners with amazing combat stats. These guys are crazy, and a Cold One Knight, just for good measure. Have some mobility, have some mass. Now, the lore he's going to bring is Sorcerer of Fire, and that's going to conclude the army setups. Now, let's see how the combat goes. Let's get this item card out of the way for you guys, and let's see how I approach this. Now, there's no real secret to this. With 4 Bolt Throwers, I'm really not going to be able to avoid any of the shots at any large constructs. Now, this is what's so great about the Sepulchral Stalkers. Now, I do have my Tomb Scorpion kind of near the back line, dodging and weaving, so that he doesn't take as much damage from the Reaper Bolt Throwers. A Fireball does get sent over at Archon the Black, but I try to dodge it, but it has heat-seeking properties, like quite literally, even though Archon's like a cold skeleton. But the Reaper Bolt throwers are going to focus fire my Hyro Titan, and that's kind of dangerous. That's 2,000 worth of gold for me, guys. If I lose this thing, it's going to be a huge deficit in value that I need to make up via other means. Of course, my opponent doesn't have a real front line, so I think that's how I'm going to make up that deficit. So the archers are going to be firing in here and hitting the Black Ark Corsairs. So if you look here, their armor is all of a sudden 57. They used to be 80, 57 it is. Now my Tomb Guard also get hit in some of the crossfire, and their armor goes down to 20, which really doesn't help them that much. But look at that Reaper bolt fire. It is just... Look at this man. He's using his spells before he dies, sending on a Spirit Leech on over to the Sorceress. But he's taking so much fire. It's like it's a Last Samurai charge right here. I try to send him into the Black Ark Corsairs, but look at this. It's a real sad sight to see $2,000 just down the drain. $2,000, man. Or 2,000 gold. So I'm going to have a summon of Skeleton Warriors, and I'm going to pressure these Reaper Bolt Throwers because I need to shut those down as fast as possible. The more value he accrues for them, the more I lose. And the balance of power is firmly in my opponent's favor. Now, the Archer Fire is going to be, I have sort of a concave Archer Fire, as my opponent doesn't have any actual backline pressure. He is going to start moving the Cold One Knights to try to muck up any of the breaks in his front line, because he did bring a very cheap front line. And I do notice for the first time that he does have Blades of the Blood Queen, at least when I was playing this match, sorry. So the opponent does send him in his extremely powerful infantry, and I'm going to throw down the good old Fate of Buna. Now this spell is just devastating versus single units that have spent a little too much money on one unit. Fate of Buna did down Chosen, Blades of the Blood Queen, Blackguard. It'll go down just nicely. So focus fire from 3 units of archers just spraying these Blood Queens, especially with the armor sundering. They rout without even getting any value whatsoever. Let's see how many kills they got. 1 kill. That is a fantastic trade for my part. Now, Burning Head going down on my skeletons. I believe Burning Head is one of the most cost-efficient spells when fighting the Tomb Kings, as Tomb Guard only have 50 armor at their max. It's devastating to get hit by such a slow cost, extremely powerful spell for this kind of matchup. Now the Realm of Souls are starting to proc, and I'm getting some heals, but Cold One Knights are in my Skeleton Warriors, which is okay. I do send my Sepulchre Stalkers to fight the Cold One Knights, but what I really should have been doing, I sent them in melee. What I should have been doing is sending them like right here, where my mouse is, and having them shoot into the Cold One Knights, because the projectiles that the Stalkers shoot now are phenomenal. So I'm going to lose the Stalkers here, but even though in combat they could have done so much better if they got their poison shots off, they did the damage needed to get the Cold One Knights to rampage, and the Archer Fire will ensue. And all I will need is just a little Tomb Scorpion charge, and they are terrified and out of there. Now good old Ark in the Black, helping out the front line, making sure I have the Liber Mortis to increase physical resistance and leadership, but another Burning Head just scavenging all these Tomb Guard and hitting 2 lines of units. Very well placed by my opponent. Now my archer line is completely unimpeded, which is a very big issue for him. He needs to find a way to shut down these archers. Archers, while not very powerful by themselves, the combined fire, especially with the Blessed Legion, can destroy essentially any unit he can throw at me. This armor sundering unit, I believe this unit, along with the Kesha Scorpion Legion, is one of the best. Just any archer with armor sundering is so good. I believe like the Rusty Errors, the Blessed Legion, so fantastic in these kinds of matchups. Now, if you remember correctly, I am actually avoiding Malice like the plague, as I should be, because he's essentially like, you always leave Malice for last. He accrues too much value if you start fighting him, because you take down his health, yeah, that's great, but all of a sudden he pops Zarkin, he goes back to full health, and you have so much wasted resources on a guy that you really should be spending everywhere else. Now another Burning Bolts on this pile of just Ushabti and Tomb Guard, which is really good because it actually gets a lot of value here. 161 kills on the Sorcerer. I'm going to Spirit Leech her down, though. The Ushabti doing her job. I didn't actually have that much to use the Ushabti for, because summoning them, I was like, well, there's really no infantry left worth dealing with, except for like the remnants of some Black Arcs, and Dread Spears are not the it's not really great to throw Ushapti into Dread Spears because they're anti-large properties, and the Tomb Scorpion will do the job well done. So I do have the Master just stuck into position here, and Zarkin is going to be held back by the King Nikesh's Scorpion Legion. So it's applying the poison debuff here, and his speed is down to 51 as he just walks through and brute forces through my King Nikesh's Scorpion Legion, which is just about the worst thing you can do. Applying that a poison, getting so much damage. And if you look at the overall battlefield, there really is nothing left for him. I'm going to just get some nice archer fires into him. He is the last person in the field, and I'm just going to be scaring away any remaining units that just might come back from routing. Now, these two are going to come back, but honestly, they have almost no value. Like 36 models over here, 32. With such low health numbers, they're not going to have any impact in this battle. Now I'm going to continue my Spirit Leech spam. I only brought 2 spells, which is Spirit Leech and the Fate of Buna, because that's really all you need. Lore of Death is just so competitive in that way. Not that it's other lores do get value. They can get great amount of value. But the Lore of Death is just so easy and gets a consistent amount of value, and that's what I really love about it. Now, he is going to use some spells like Demonic Curse, his abilities. He's going to turn to Zarkin soon, if he doesn't rout, that is. And I'm just going to scare away whatever he has left with some archers. He actually doesn't turn to Zarkin there. You can see the animation as he's literally about to, but he routs right before. And that's the thing about Malice. I don't like bringing him here in almost any matchup nowadays, because after testing him a little bit, your opponent will, you have to pay a very close attention to him, because your opponent will simply just rout him and chase him off with a cheap, fast unit like Warhounds, Skeleton Horsemen, something like that. And all of a sudden, all that money into Malice is wasted. Now let's look into some unit statistics. I think it was a really interesting gameplay to go up against someone to use 4 Reaper Bolt Throwers. Like, my goodness, my Hyro Titan did not see the light of day. He immediately 2 steps away from where he spawned, and he was down. He made it to the front line to step on maybe one guy, not even one guy. He had 0 kills, and his only benefit of him being on my party is literally just taking the shots from my Reaper Bolts for as long as they could, unless he didn't shoot the Tomb Scorpion that much, or the Stalkers, but the Stalkers can't be seen. So overall, pretty happy with my front line build. I did choose Tomb Guard. Now, Tomb Guard are really good against the Dark Elf matchup, in my opinion, because if they choose something armored, something like Harganeth Executioners or Black Guard, your construct should be able to do with it. The Archers deal with the Black Guard and Aggron, because Black Guard and Aggron are just a complete tank. You need the archer support. And if it's something like Harganeth Executioners, not only will the archers work as well, but the constructs will deal just mighty fine against them. Of course, you need your chaff, and they did their job as well, especially the King Nikesh's, just one of my favorite units. And Arkin the Black, what else can I say? He is just such a powerful lord, being Fate of Buna, the Blades of Blood Queen, Spirit Leech spam on the sorcerers, and then onto Malice, making sure that no value can be accrued from their special abilities, except maybe the sorceress, because the sorceress is amazing. Well, guys, thanks you for watching the video. Leave a like if you liked it, and subscribe if you want more. I'll catch you guys later.